What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers, bringing you guys live coverage for some storms we got going on through the DFW Metroplex this morning. It's been kind of hectic. It's 9 a.m. and we're here in the office doing live coverage already. So we're going to let you know what's going to happen here. Can you hear me okay, Amanda? I kind of did like a bootleg setup. You can hear me? Okay, cool. Well, then I think we're ready to roll. So I am my own producer this morning. So I'm just going to tell you guys what's going on here. We've got this line of thunderstorms that's tracking through Oklahoma and Texas. If you guys were in Oklahoma City early this morning, you heard it rolling through. The worst of it right now is in Dallas-Fort Worth. So if we zoom into the area here, it's been a second since I've done this, but if we zoom into DFW, we've got a line of thunderstorms that's tracking through. And with that, we're seeing some tornado warnings. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Haven't done this since like May. So there's our tornado warnings and severe warnings. Looks like right now the tornado warning is on the north side of Dallas County, making its way towards the general McKinney area just south of it, and then we got severe thunderstorm warnings tracking through into DFW. If you guys have any questions, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between screens here, so throw them up there and I will do my best to answer them as I can. So here we are in DFW. This is a severe thunderstorm warning right now, and let's see, let's go ahead and query that and see what's going on. So we've got our severe thunderstorm warning here, and it looks like we're doing strong winds with this bow. So you can see that here. We've got some crazy winds packing a punch through the DFW area. You got those bright pink velocities heading just south of Dallas and then into Dallas proper. So if you guys are in between DeSoto and Dallas, Texas, you're going to get some really strong winds happening here in the next few minutes. Then if you guys are in Dallas itself, you're going to get some gusty winds as well, not quite as bad. Where we tend to see that U shape, that's where we get those really strong winds heading into the city. Now just north, that's where we got that tornado warning, and it looks like we have one reissued, and McKinney, you are now in it. So zooming in here, we've got that little hook, we've got that bow echo as well, and it doesn't look like too tight of rotation here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our correlation coefficient. No drop quite yet. So we're just warning that for rotation, but you know, these have been spinning up across the metro this morning, and so we'll keep a close eye on that. As for hail, you know, looking around, there's not a ton. It's been mostly pea-sized reports this morning, and you know, with that linear structure, that line that's moving through Dallas and now McKinney, hasn't really given us much opportunity to see severe hail, but it's been a ton of wind, and again, some spin-up tornadoes. There was one confirmed just on the western outskirts of Fort Worth this morning. And so now it's tracking through Dallas, it's tracking through Plano and McKinney. Plano probably gonna get some really heavy winds here in a minute. And then same for you guys in Dallas. It's looking like that line is tracking right towards you. And so we're going to be watching what happens here as it continues heading your way. So I'm trying to query this severe thunderstorm warning and let you know what exactly is going on, but my query tool seems to not be working. So I'll just go ahead and use radar scope because it's that kind of morning. So again, if you guys are just joining in, we've got a big line of thunderstorms that's been tracking through North Texas and southern Oklahoma this morning, and it's been causing some chaos across the DFW metro area. Looks like we do have a hail and wind report through, let's see, just west of DeSoto. I think that's south of Garland. I can't query it though. I don't know why. Does that work? Ah, there we go. Okay. 1 inch hail just to, well, right between Burleson and DeSoto. Spot a report there. And then we've got a high wind report just south of Flower Mound. Damage to a commercial building on the west side of Grapevine. So again, The straight line winds here are no joke, and then we've also got a risk for tornadoes on top of that. So not what you want to see here this morning heading through DFW. So this tornado warning for McKinney, if we go back there, got it up here now on radar scope. It is radar indicated, so again, nothing on the ground quite yet that is confirmed, but we are looking at small hail possible, as well as the potential for this storm to produce a tornado here in the next few minutes. Then for our severe warning over Dallas proper, so that's going to be going for the next like 40 minutes here, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and up to quarter-sized hail. So again, just straight line winds with that bow structure passing through, and then it does look like we've had some severe hail passing through the area over the last few minutes. I don't know if my radar can go back that far. We just got it loaded up this morning. I'll try for you guys and see what I can do. Yeah, it doesn't look like we go back that far. But, I mean, if you look at our radar here and then looking at coming through Mansfield area, you can see a little bit of that reflectivity brightening. And then, yeah, you can see right where that quarter report came out of, we've got a little area of deeper reflectivity, and let's see if that corresponds with some lower correlation coefficients. So it's looking like we got some severe hail. My guess is it's pretty isolated based on what those correlation coefficients look like, but got some severe hail nonetheless out of the very tail end part of that storm. So if you guys are in Duncanville, probably going to continue to see some hail passing through. Again, if you check out those correlation coefficients there, it's looking like it's about the same as it did when it passed through Mansfield area. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of small hail as well as possibly up to some quarter-sized stones. So again, all risks through DFW this morning as we're tracking through, and I'm just going to get you guys in and out of Dallas, and then once it passes through, going to go straight to making the forecast for you guys this afternoon. So watching this get closer and closer to Dallas over the past few minutes, you know, we've tracked from near Euless area into Dallas just in a short period of time. I mean, you can see that making its way, and then there our radar cuts out. But you can make its way along I-20 and I-30, tracking towards Dallas over the past few minutes. So there's our velocities there, still looking pretty intense through that Bow Echo area. I would expect that we see some pretty strong winds. I mean, if we query, well, there's our severe thunderstorm warning, finally works. But I mean, if we query our winds there, I mean, we're popping up into some pretty high values, tracking through that Bow Echo. So there we go. 44 miles an hour showing up on our radar. And we're right close to the radar here, guys. So, I mean, it's moving. These winds are definitely cranking through Dallas this morning. Then working our way back up towards Plano and McKinney, just a first look at reflectivity. Looks like that storm is starting to kind of straighten out, losing that curled shape that you tend to see from tornadoes. And again, the velocity isn't showing a very strong couplet, so not super promising in terms of a tornado, not seeing any lowering in our CCs right now. And then these rotation indicators are way back behind the storm. So not looking super tornadic at this point. But again, still some strong winds possible for you guys in McKinney. And then it's possible that we could see, a hailstone or two. I think right now, the biggest story is going to be some potential hail tracking through the southern end of Dallas here. Still seeing some lowering in our correlation coefficient. Let's see if I can select that right there for you guys. There you go. Potential to see that forming some larger hail here into, the southern part of Dallas along the I-20 corridor. So if you guys are, I guess, in the northern part of DeSoto, that's where you could see strong winds as well as potential hail. So that hail will probably be wind driven through the area. And then some winds packing a punch into central Dallas itself. So continuing to watch this as we move through this morning, I'm going to take a look and see if we got any new hail reports that came in on radar scope. It looks like we got one that passed through Mansfield itself. You're good. Let's see. So let's go ahead and query the Mansfield one. Quarter report just north of Mansfield. I think that might have been the one I queried earlier. And then right up on the radar, north of Joshua, again, quarters. So again, I wouldn't be surprised. This storm has kind of looked the same as it does, or I guess does right now. And it's actually looking a little better now if it's heading to DeSoto. I mean, you can see those reflectivity values starting to pop up on that storm right there, starting to see some bright pinks, and then seeing those correlation coefficients dropping. So definitely possible we could be seeing some quarters on that storm as it tracks just north of DeSoto. So we've got actually quite a few spotter reports on radar scope here. So we got one at 1 inch, and it's just to the north and west of Mansfield. And then a lot of half-inch reports, quarter reports. So it looks like it's, when it was over Mansfield at least, it was doing a lot of mix. So got some pocket change, as John calls it, as well as some mixed in quarters through the area just around that radar area just north of Joshua, all the way into Mansfield. And that's the main area for hail. Got some pea-size reported in Farmers Branch, and then not much else. Just a lot of heavy wind, guys. So we're still looking at that tornado warning near McKinney, but nothing confirmed on that yet, fortunately. As it heads into the area, it's been looking kind of worse and worse, tracking up into McKinney. So still looking pretty straight. You know, once we see this structure, that's usually when you just see some, you know, general gusty winds and heavy thunderstorms. It's when you see, let me scroll down to Dallas here. It's when you see this U-shaped structure heading right into Dallas. That's when you tend to get some nasty winds, and then just to the south of it, you got some hail right in there. So looking like the Dallas area is going to be getting hit the heaviest from this storm system as it tracks through. Let's go ahead and look into our velocity for what it's doing near Dallas. So again, I'll go ahead and take a number query here. See what we got, probably in the 40s like it was again. Now we're hitting up above 50s. And again, we're pretty close to the radar, so that beam is picking up that storm pretty close to the ground. So it's a little bit more of an accurate reading than you would see when it's way far away from the radar beam and it's picking up that velocity value way up high. So again, some very heavy winds, bottom line, heading into Dallas this morning. No hail for you guys. If we go ahead and scope our correlation coefficient here, you can not really see any crazy correlation coefficient values until you get down here just to the north of DeSoto, and that's where we have the potential for some quarters, maybe even $half at this point, heading east-northeast into the southern parts of Dallas. So I guess we can go ahead and get some roads and let you guys know where exactly is getting hit by what. So it is in Ledbetter Hills right now, just north of Duncanville, heading into the 35 East corridor area where 35 East meets 67. And here is your area of potentially severe hail. There's our correlation coefficient values. You get those yellows and greens, that's when we tend to see, you know, above quarters, maybe some $half. And, you know, if we get any more intense here, we could start popping up into our orange swath values, maybe some ping pong balls. But right now, looking at mostly $half through Ledbetter Hills, tracking up near, I guess, Oak Cliff. And then if we move northward through Dallas, these strong winds are going to be hitting right along, I mean, it's going to be right in central Dallas, south of University Park, north of Oak Cliff, right into Dallas itself. So Dallas North Tollway, if you guys are traveling anywhere along that along the I-35 East area, right in that corridor. Probably going to be seeing some really nasty winds. If you're driving any high-profile vehicles, it's going to be rough into the next few minutes here as we see that pass through. So I think I can query my severe thunderstorm warnings now, and I can tell you exactly how fast that's going. So again, warned for 1 inch and 60 miles an hour. And it is currently tracking east at 30 miles an hour. So not moving as fast as it was earlier. It was kind of booking it earlier this morning, and now it seems to have kind of slowed down just a tad over Dallas. Got a weird return on our reflectivity now, but that's okay. So if we're moving east at 30 miles an hour, it's early. Here is what we have for our storm track into the next few minutes here. Can I go ahead and expand that? So if you guys are in Bethlehem, it's going to hit you guys here in the next minute or so. Garland, 9:33 a.m., 9:38 for Mesquite, 9:45 for Del Rock, 9:54 for Forney, Texas. So it's tracking right along that I-20 corridor and along that I-30 corridor right through that area. If you guys are in Mesquite, if you guys are in Del Rock, that's going to hit you guys here as it tracks eastward over your area. It's right in Dallas now. So if you guys are in Dallas-Fort Worth, going to be seeing some very heavy rain as well as some high winds here right now, and it should start subsiding as it continues to move over you guys over the next few minutes. So good news for you guys in Dallas. Should see that starting to let up here as it moves through. Now we could see some nasty hail moving into the 35 East corridor. Again, that's moving eastward at about 30 miles an hour as well. So looking at this here, 30 miles an hour puts us right there for our storm track. So if you guys are in Fruitdale, it's going to hit you guys at 9:40, 9:55 for Riley. So that's kind of far out here. I don't know if our hail is going to last that long, but bottom line, towards the end of that line, that's where we're tending to see hail right now, and it is exceeding severe thresholds. So anywhere in Fruitdale, Riley, Mesquite, Tripp, that's where you guys could have a potential for hail as well as high winds as we continue to see the storm system track off to the east. Now for you guys in McKinney, this tornado warning is tracking over you guys about right now. For velocity, I mean, there is rotation on that, but it's super broad right now. So this storm is trying to rotate, but it's really not getting compact enough to spin something down to the ground. So, I mean, you can see that rotation there where those bright reds meet those kind of more dull reds. And it's going to track over McKinney, but right now it's not looking super great in terms of lower CCs. There is something right south of Early, but we're behind that reflectivity shield. So I don't trust that, but we'll have to see if anything comes out of that. And I mean, I can go ahead and check for any further reports, for any weird structure here, but over McKinney, yeah, no reports coming out of that yet. And we're going to continue to watch that. We could potentially see some further rotation on it, because again, it is trying, but right now, nothing headed over the area at this specific moment in time. So if you guys are in a tornado warning, regardless, seek your safe place. Again, it's early, but seek shelter if you guys are in a tornado warned area. Try to get into an interior room or in the lowest floor of your building, or both, and wait for that to pass before you go out and check anything out. So wait until it's safe. For the rest of Dallas and down to DeSoto, that's where we've got that hail happening as well as some gusty winds. It looks like things are going to start to get a little bit clearer for you guys if you're on the west end of Dallas proper. But if you're headed into Mesquite, Garland, still going to see things ramping up as the brighter parts of that reflectivity head towards you guys into this morning. And take a sip of my Starbucks there. And then down into now Duncanville. We really haven't seen this part of the storm move much over the last few minutes. it's kind of just been lingering over the Duncanville area, moving very slowly off to the east. But we're continuing to see brighter reflectivities, lower correlation coefficients, and that coupling tends to get us some hail. So if I go ahead and show you reflectivity there, I want to go ahead and scope our correlation coefficients so you can kind of see them together. And there you go. You got that bright correlation coefficient, low CCs. Low CCs, bright reflectivity is what I'm trying to say. And, you know, again, we could see some severe hail tracking through, and it has intensified a little bit as it's moved over Duncanville. So it's potential that we could be seeing more quarters and half dollars than earlier when it was pretty isolated. So if you're just joining, we did see some severe hail track, oh goodness. We did see some severe hail track all the way from Joshua up into DeSoto, and then gusty winds tracking through Dallas, making their way out right now. We're starting to see this end of the storm kind of curl up on itself just north of that 75 marker, but no real rotation showing up on our radar. Oh, and the latest scan shows that going away, so never mind. But let's see what our latest scan shows up towards McKinney, because we were seeing a lowering in our CCs there as it tracked over. And it looks like that's kind of diminishing, and our rotation is super broad, so I'm not expecting that we'll be seeing anything over McKinney, but we will be getting some very gusty winds tracking through the area this morning. I'm going to check our group chat and see if anything noteworthy has happened in there. Let's see. Yeah, so our mapping team said that Duncanville storm, which is down just north of DeSoto, is getting close to orange threshold, which is what we had talked about earlier. So possibly some large hail now happening on that Duncanville storm. Let's see. Yep, so that would be the only thing coming out of our meteorology chat right now, is that we could potentially be starting to see some probably ping pong ball sized hail coming just to the north of Duncanville, Texas, and creeping towards 35 East. I mean, that's pretty much what we've been talking about this whole time, is that we've been waiting for this storm to make it off towards 35, and it's just been kind of lingering over Duncanville. So large hail for you guys north of Duncanville, and also a pretty long period of hail through the area. And then Dallas is still getting hit with those high winds tracking out of the city. So if we look at our velocity through there, starting to die down a little bit as our storm gets broader, and you know, we're moving out of the metro area. So, and then for you guys in McKinney, no reports coming out of there, fortunately. So it looks like at this point in time, I mean, it looks like there have been no tornadoes reported, and it looks like, again, I've got a suspicious area of correlation coefficient lowering. It's in a weird area of the storm, and I haven't heard anything yet. So I don't feel the need to report a tornado on that right yet, but I'm kind of side-eyeing the McKinney storm, and we'll see if we get any news on that as it continues to track off to the northeast. But nothing has been confirmed on that, nothing has been reported, and right now it's looking like it's very broad rotation. So again, if you guys are in McKinney, know that, but continue to stay in your safe spots until that storm moves out of the area and that warning has expired. So looking like our storms are starting to kind of line out as well on the north side of Dallas. So the only thing really in the books right now is going to be that storm north of DeSoto, and that is tracking towards the 35 East corridor and into, I mean, very slowly into Dallas. So tracking into C roads. It's finally gotten out of Ledbetter Hills and is moving towards the intersection of I-67 and I-35 East, and I guess right along South Walton Walker Boulevard, with potentially some large hail. But that's going to be pretty much our only story into this morning. Oh, we got some more reports that came out from earlier. Go ahead and query those. Tornado report in Grapevine, which I know happened earlier this morning, 8:43 a.m. Tornado crossed West State Highway 114 near the hospital west-northwest of Grapevine. So that was what, about a little over or a little under an hour ago. And then some strong winds associated with that. That was the damage to the commercial building, so it's potential that those were, correlated, that tornado report and that damage report. So it looks like that's the only new report that's come out of Grapevine. And we're starting to slow down here a little bit as we're moving out of Dallas. I'm going to go ahead and wait for this storm just to the north of DeSoto, finally making its way to or towards the intersection of 35 East and 67. I'm going to go ahead and get that another frame to get out of the area and continue watching what's happening now over Melissa, Texas, and through McKinney. And then once that passes through, I'll go ahead and jump off of here. But just going to let you guys, continue to see the situation unfold this morning as we track through the DFW Metro. So now for this storm, tracking along the SRL Thornton Freeway. Seeing it kind of look like it's dying down on reflectivity. Still seeing some pretty high correlation coefficient values. And, that's not what I meant to click. Some pretty low velocity at this point. So not super good structure for wind either, but we could potentially, again, still be seeing some severe hail. So I think that's going to be the primary threat here just to the south of Dallas. And then just to the north, still could potentially see some high winds. Looking at this whole band, the area near Garland is probably where we'd see the highest winds, as well as possibly this storm heading through Melissa. It's still trying to rotate, guys, but not, that correlation coefficient spot that we were seeing earlier has gone away, and it's tracking through with some very broad rotation. So it looks like there's less of a tornado threat on this Melissa storm than there was earlier, but still potential for some high winds through Melissa, through Garland, and then hail down south of Dallas. So I'll take another drink here. Yeah, looking like hail is the name of the game here along I-35. No reports have come in quite yet, at least not into our MAX system. And then, if we look at our radar scope, I don't think anything had come in earlier either. Yeah, looking at pea-sized hail reports, which, again, I would not be surprised if we later see some half-dollar or maybe even larger reports. But again, it still sounds like it's a mix of that smaller hail into that larger hail. So seeing it start to die down a little bit as it heads towards, I believe that's Fruitdale and Mesquite. Whoa. And then some gusty winds headed into Garland. The tornado warning storm is moving out of Melissa. So I think this is probably a pretty good point to go ahead and end this for you now, and then we'll go ahead and get back into our noon coverage, which is probably also going to be kind of hybrid live coverage as this continues to track eastward towards Louisiana, where it's expected to intensify later today. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's been quite a morning here at Hail Trace, and we'll let you guys know all of your updates as they occur. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrew Myers. Thanks for watching.